Now is Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut. He's a member of the Intelligence and Financial Services Committee. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you for being with us. I don't know where to start. There's so much stuff here. I guess part of it is just that the Justice Department, we are seeing the degree to which the Justice Department was a corrupt arm of Donald Trump, really, not even the Trump administration.
Yeah, well, that's right, Ali. This is not new news. It's not in any way surprising. And Americans of any political stripe should be frightened by what we're reading today, that the Attorney General approved, actually, the requisitioning of phone records from reporters. Look, regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, it is illegal and not a good idea to leak classified information, but the protection of the journalists who get those leaks. I mean, you know, this is how the Pentagon Papers got put out there. One of the best controls we have over government overreach, of course, is journalists doing their job. And you're absolutely right, Ali. Look, the whether it was Barr in his memo lying about what the Mueller report said, that of course caused Mueller to go back publicly at Barr and say that's not what my report said, or whether it was Barr lying to the American public in the run-up to the election, saying that the Chinese are being just as aggressive and messing with our elections as the Russians. You know, we're really putting a fine point on what we have always known, which is that then Attorney General Barr turned the Department of Justice into the Donald Trump defense firm, and that was a profound threat to our democracy.
The other profound threat to our democracy, one that we probably didn't see coming before the election, is the crumbling of the Republican Party in front of us. President Biden, in fact, lamented the idea that there's not a functioning Republican Party right now because he says America does need two parties. What's your take on what's going on? You retweeted Liz Cheney the other day in a tweet where she said the 2020 election wasn't stolen. This is getting her essentially fired from the leadership of the Republican Party.
Well, that's exactly right, Ali. And I'll tell you, it's bad for at least two cataclysmic reasons. Number one, the country needs a functioning Republican Party that pushes back on my party. I mean, quite frankly, that is a good dynamic when we have people who disagree in good faith, who don't call each other traitors, who don't use the language of good and evil, who exchange ideas and debate ideas. That's a healthy democracy. The Republican Party, of course, starting at the convention where they said, we don't have a platform. It's whatever Donald Trump wants, gave up that role. But even more ominously, and this honestly keeps me up at night, you don't have a party anymore. You have a cult. Think about the choice that's being made next week, right? Elise Stefanik, who, by the way, is a friend of mine. Elise Stefanik was one of the most moderate, maybe in some regards, even most liberal Republicans in the conference, in the House conference. Liz Cheney is probably the most conservative, top five, certainly, Republican, and they are tossing her to the curb because she won't bend a knee and tell a lie to the American public. So, you know, sadly, the Republican Party no longer has leaders. It has subjects. And if you don't kowtow enough to the cult leader, to Donald Trump, it doesn't matter what your platform, your beliefs, or your talents are, you're out.
It's remarkable. I was a little disappointed when I saw the jobs numbers yesterday morning. It does, however, underscore the fact that we continue to need government intervention into this recovery, something that a lot of conservatives have been arguing we don't need. We don't need the jobs plan. We don't need the families plan. The market's bringing this economy back on its own. Apparently it's not.
Well, that's right. That's right, Ali. And look, the economy's still in rough shape. I've learned over the years that if you watch every single month's job number or any number and decide that that's how you're going to set your sort of mental equilibrium for the month, you're going to be a very volatile and probably unhappy person. This is, as the president said, not a sprint, it is a marathon. But, Ali, I have to observe that the very same people who are pulling their hair out and setting themselves on fire over yesterday's jobs numbers are precisely the same people who 2 months ago said, this is way too big of a rescue plan, way too big. The economy's doing fine. We don't need a rescue plan. And I had to, I mean, it's a serious business, and it's obviously tragic for a lot of people who are suffering. But, you know, I've been sort of watching the Republican Party trying, you know, led by people like Ted Cruz, trying to say, we're now the party of the worker. We're the party of blue collar. We drink beer and wear blue jeans. You know, we're not the party of giving huge tax breaks to very wealthy people. And, of course, what was the message yesterday? The message was, you know, the problem here? We've given way too much aid to workers, and they're sitting around at home. You know, again, pro tip to the Republicans. If you want to be the party of the American worker, blaming them and their laziness for a month downtick in employment is really a bad way to start.
Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us, Democratic Representative Jim Himes of Connecticut. And by the